Okay, so here we are. The second batch of 10 books in my Lieutenant Eve Dallas series. This is book 11, which we're doing today. And Betrayal is 12. These little papers come in handy. So it's 12. Hi, Sandy. And Seduction 13. And Reunion is 14. This is the cutest little hardcover. It's a mass market. It's a paperback, but it's hard. Hi, Sandy. Come here, Sandy. Where's the other one? Oh, there it is at the bottom. Purity in Death. Oh, we forgot. Interlude in Death is 12 and a half. So we'll come into this. And then we have Purity in Death. This is a good one. Portrait in Death. A person can't have too many. And Imitation in Death. Like I said, a person can't have too many. Gotta have a hard copy and a paperback. Oh, and hey, this is the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And I could really use some like and subscribes. I forget. I forget to ask. And I could really, really, really appreciate the likes and subscribes. Let me see if I can get these papers. Oh, I'm missing one. There's another one over here somewhere. Where is it? I lost it. Sorry. Oh, there it is. See? There's no special editing here. Horrible lighting and everything. Leave Sonata. Selena. Tracy. And Z-Book. Continued thanks. Sorry about that. Oh. Excuse me. Alright. Where was I? Oh. Then we have a brief interlude at 17 with Big Jack. The Diamond Heist. And, oops. One of these is wrong. One of these is 18, one of these is 19. I always get these confused. Visions and Divided. And Nixie Swisher in Survivor. But anyways. Now, Witness in Death. We will probably end up reading more of this than I usually intended to. Hey, girl. Usually do. And I need to go and put the link for my original review 2 years ago. These are my comfort books, and they're my go-to books, and I couldn't read them last year because of the channel. And because I did them the year before, and I got this itch. Sorry. So, I didn't read them last year, and I'm just going stir crazy. I need my comfort books. So I decided this year we were just going to read them and share them. I'll try to avoid the plot line. I am just interested in spoiling the characters like crazy. Now, this starts a plot line that's going to last a few books. And even once when you think it might be solved, it's going to come back again. And there's an introduction of Detective Carmichael. We will eventually have a Detective Carmichael and Officer Carmichael. And Officer Carmichael is satisfied with being an officer, and that's frustrating as all hell, but that's the deal there. But that comes much, much later down the line. We also get a little more acquainted with Caro, Rourke's secretary, and she will have a more significant role in a future book, but she is Rourke's admin, and she plays a very important part. So let me get back to it here. Eve is a lieutenant in the New York City Police and Security Department, and Roarke is her husband and the richest man in the world. Peabody is her aide and her future partner. Mcnabb is sort of kind of Peabody's significant other after we went all this stuff through in Witness, the last book. Charles Monroe is the licensed companion. We don't see him in this book. Nadine First is our Channel 75 reporter. And Mira is the department shrink. Detective Baxter is one of the guys in her unit. We don't see too much from him either. But we do see a lot of Webster. We know that Webster and Eve have a past. We know that Roarke knows that they had a past. We know that Roarke knows that Eve it was a one and done. And we know that Webster had a little fire thingy going for a while. But we've also got this situation where a cop was working undercover, and it's a very multi-layered undercover plot. It's very they hid it so that his surrounding officers really, really believed that he was dirty. That's how well it was played. But he thought he was doing the right thing and working this undercover thing. And he ended up getting killed because certain individuals actually believed that he was dirty, but he wasn't. And it's really, Eve really digs into it, and she gets some pressure from people. We also meet Max Ricker. And Max Ricker will play a thin, be a bone, prick, point, knife, whatever you want to call it, in Eve and Roarke for a couple of books. At least 3 or 4 books. Not sequential though. He'll come and go. But, so, let's see. Mcnabb is Peabody's, I said that, but he's a detective in EDD, and he works for Feeney, Captain Feeney, who was Eve's former mentor. And we also have Whitney, her boss. There's also Mavis, her best friend, and Leonardo, her significant other. And Mavis is an up-and-coming rock star. And then, of course, we have Somerset, Rourke's majordomo, who loves to exchange insults with Eve. That's just what they do. And Galahad the cat. And I've always said that Galahad needs a companion. You always need to have at least 2. So they have a companion to be with when you're not there. And someone to play with. And I'm hoping soon to get 2 more. Because while this one does not want to anybody but me in her life, her sibling wants a companion, needs somebody to play with. So we're working on that situation. So we have judgment in death. In an uptown strip joint, a cop is found bludgeoned to death. The weapons, a baseball bat. The motives, a mystery. It's a case of serious overkill that pushes Eve Dallas straight into overdrive. Her investigation uncovers a private club that's more than a hot spot. Purgatory is a last chance for atonement where everyone is judged. But like I said, no one knows that he was working undercover, not even his intimates. But Eve finally puts all the pieces together, and it takes a lot of dragging information out of certain people. So she's at the establishment and she's doing her crime scene analysis. And I would not spoil the whodunit because most of this Max Ricker stuff is multi layered. There's someone else that did it, not him directly though, but he had an influence in it. But that's a later story. So they're talking about the security scene. He knew the place, she decided, or he's a security wizard. Window dressing, she muttered. All this destruction, just window dressing. He knew what he was doing. He had control. Peabody, find out who owns this place, who runs it. I want to know everybody who works here. I want to know the setup. Lieutenant! A harassed-looking sweeper trudged through the chaos. There's a civilian outside. There are a lot of civilians outside. Let's keep them there. Yes, sir. But this one insists on speaking to you. He says this place is his. And, that you're his wife. Roarke Entertainment, Peabody announced as she read off the data from her Palm PC. She sent Eve a cautious smile. Guess who owns Purgatory? I should have figured. Resigned, Eve strode to the entrance door. You gotta love it. You have to. So then we have Webster, and Webster also worked with Eve way back when, but he is now with Internal Affairs Bureau, IAB, and where is it now? Why did I say doesn't play for me, Eve muttered. You live with someone day after day. You have to know what they do, what they think, what they're into. Because this is after speaking to the wife of the deceased. She said he was worried about something, but he doesn't know. Didn't press it. She shook her head, frowning as she wove through crosstown traffic. I don't get it. You and Roarke have a different couple dynamic, Peabody says. What the hell does that mean? Well, Peabody slid her eyes over to Eve's profile. That was a nice way of saying neither one of you would let the other get away with holding back. Something's going on with one of you, the other sniffs it out and hammers away until it's all out there. You're both nosy and just mean enough not to let the other one slide by. Now you take my Aunt Miriam. Do I have to? What I'm saying is she and Uncle Tom have been married for over 40 years. He goes to work every day, comes home every night. They have 4 kids, 9 grandkids, and a happy life. She doesn't even know how much he makes a year. He gives her an allowance. Eve nearly back-ended a rapid cab. A what? Yeah, well, I said you have a different dynamic. Anyway, he gives her the house money and stuff. She'll ask how his day was. He'll say fine, and that's the end of the topic of work. She shrugged. That's how it goes for them. Now, my cousin Frida. I get the point, Peabody. Eve engaged the car link and called the ME. And we see Morris again. We see him a few times in this book. We're getting to know him a little bit better. But Morris is slowly becoming an important character in the book and an important recurring doctor. We also see Dickhead, the chief lab tech, also later on in the book, and he too is increasing in occurrences in the books. But Morris is really becoming a good friend. And we will learn a lot about Morris in the next couple of books. So she has some discussions with Mars. Um, then she's on her way home, I believe. And leave the rest of that until tomorrow. Go home. Yeah? Peabody's face lit up as she glanced at her wrist unit. Almost on time, too. I got an 8 o'clock dinner with Charles. Now I'll have time enough to go snazz myself up. When Eve's response was a grunt, Peabody grinned. You know the problem with juggling two guys? Do you consider Mcnabb a guy? On a good day, he's a nice contrast to Charles. Anyway, you know the problem with seeing both of them? No, Peabody, what's the problem with seeing both of them? There isn't one! With a hoot of laughter, Peabody grabbed her bag and shot out of a cubicle. See you tomorrow. Eve shook her head. One guy, she decided, was plenty enough for her taste. And if she got the hell out of Central, she might even beat him home for a change. And I should point out that Charles Monroe is a licensed companion. And in these books, in this 2060 time period, the streetwalkers have a certain license and they can advance themselves with education and taking these courses and kind of stuff, and they can get higher and higher. And Charles happens to be at the top tier. He can charge like $10,000 for a couple of hours or whatever. But Peabody and him are having a platonic relationship. It's strictly 100% platonic. But and Eve learned last book that it was platonic, and Peabody had an issue with it. But nobody is telling Mcnabb, and it's eating at Mcnabb, and it will explode at a certain point later on in the books. It's just Mcnabb finally declares himself, but it's going to take a few more books. So she's on her way home. She reached for her car link. Oh, and they have remember when J.D. Robb wrote these books, this was in 2000. This was 25 years ago. This stuff didn't exist. Today it exists. So look how many things she decided existed back then she was imagining. And some of these things are normal use for us today. She reached for her car link, intending to call Mavis and tell her what she was looking at. Oh, she's driving home, and she sees the billboard of Mavis. It's huge. A long way. When she caught a familiar face burst across one of the animated screens, she nearly sideswiped a glide car. Mavis freeze-turned, her hair a riot flame-colored spikes whirled across the street at 34th. She jiggled, spun in a few sassy and amusing play scrapes of electric blue. With each revolution, her hair changed from red to gold to blinding green. Eve was, she thought, with a foolish grin on her face, just like her. Jesus, Mavis, what would you look at that? What a kick in the ass. It's a billboard, the flashing billboards. And she's going to call Mavis to let her know she saw the billboard. She reached for her call link, intending to call Mavis and tell her what she was looking at, when her personal palm link beeped. Yeah? Dallas. Hey, Dallas. Webster. Instantly, Eve's shoulders tensed. She might have known Don Webster on a personal level, but no cop liked receiving a transmission from Internal Affairs. Why are you calling my personal link? IAB is required to use official channels. I was hoping to talk to you. Got a few minutes? You're talking to me. Face to face. Why? Come on, Dallas. 10 minutes. I'm on my way home. Tag me tomorrow. 10 minutes. I'll meet you at the park right across the street from your place. Is this internal affairs business? Let's talk. I'll meet you. I'll meet you there. I'm behind you. So, I'm not going to go into it, but it's part of the case. And Webster's trying to tell her something without telling her something. And now she knows that this cop wasn't that, well, first she thinks that IAB was looking into this police officer, that maybe he was corrupt. But the more Eve digs and the more Webster sort of kind of insinuates, she's like, oh, wait a second here. And the more she digs, the more she discovers the real story. But it's going to take almost a whole book. So Webster lights a fire under her butt. So then she gets home. So that was why she could sit on the steps of that home with the ugliness of her day smearing her heart, look at blossoms dancing in the breeze, and wait for him. She watched the long black car slide quietly toward the house, waited while Roarke climbed out of the back, had a word with his driver as the car drove off. He walked to her in that way he had, with his eyes on her face. She'd never had anyone look at her as he did, as if nothing else and no one else existed. No matter how many times he did so, just that long focused look made her heart flutter. He sat beside her, set his briefcase aside, leaned back as she was. Hi. Hi. Lovely evening. Yeah, the flowers look good. Yes, they do. The renewal of spring, a cliche, but true enough as most cliches are. He ran a hand over her hair. What are you doing? Nothing. Exactly. That's out of character for you, darling Eve. It's an experiment. She crossed her scarred boots at the ankles. I'm seeing if I can leave work at Central. How are you doing? I'm pretty much failed. Still, with her head back, she closed her eyes and tried to recapture some of it. I was doing okay with it on the drive home. I saw Mavis's billboard. Ah, yes, fairly spectacular. You didn't tell me about it. It just went up today. I figured you'd see it on your way home and thought it would be a nice surprise. It was. And remembering brought her smile back. I nearly clipped a glide cart. I was sitting there grinning at it, about to call her, but I had a transmission come through. So work intruded. More or less, it was Webster. And she tells him a little bit about that. So then they're having this cute little scene interaction. Roarke is having a business call, and she says, what are you buying now? That remains to be seen. How do you feel about owning a Japanese baseball team? I like baseball, Eve said after a moment. Well then, what can I do for you, Lieutenant? If you're busy buying sports teams, it can wait. I'm not buying anything, at least not until negotiations are completed. The wolf came into his eyes, and on my turf. Okay, first a question. If I were to refuse to discuss my part of the work with you or my professional business, what would you do? Slap you around, of course. He rose amused when she laughed, but I imagine we can both be spared that unhappy event, as the question doesn't apply here. So why do you ask it? Let me put it another way. Since I'm so terrified of being slapped around, can two people be married, live in the same house, have a solid marriage, and one of them have no clue about the other's outside business? Now remember, this is what Peabody and Eve talked about earlier the day. When he merely lifted his eyebrows, she swore, You don't apply. No one could keep up with your outside business. Besides, I know stuff you do. You buy everything you can get your hands on and manufacture and sell almost every product known to humankind. And right now you're considering buying a Japanese ball team. See? My God, my life's an open book. He came around the desk. But to go back to your question, yes, I suppose it's possible for people to live together and not know the thrust or at least the intricacies of the other's work or outside interests. What if I liked fish? To fish, an example. Let's hypothesize that if fishing is just a passion of mine, and I often toddle off for a wild weekend of dry fishing in Montana. Would you pay attention to my resuscitation of every cast and catch upon my return to fish? And she laughed. And there you have my point. So yes to your question. Now why do you ask? Just trying to get a picture of the couple. She's still talking about the same thing she was talking about with Peabody. So, all right, let's go down a little bit now. And I don't know why I stopped this page. Oh, Rourke wants to see Purgatory again, and they have an issue with that. All right, so then let's see what this says. Rourke is talking to Peabody. Eve's having an issue with something of the case. Record off. Make a. Oh, this is Rourke's in the place, and he wants to see around. Well, Rourke walked through the place so he can get his damage report. You've got 15 minutes, she told him. Then you're out, and the place is sealed until I say different. She's lovely when she's annoyed, isn't she, Peabody? I always thought so. 14 minutes, Eve warned, and counting. Why don't we start at the top? He offered Peabody his arm, and work our way down. When they were out of earshot, she pulled out a communicator and called Feeney in the electronic detective division. I need a favor. And she's going to talk about the case with him. But that was just a cute little scene. Now, then she's talking about Rourke has been to the place and he's seen the bar and seen the condition of his establishment. And then she's working on her notes. Frown over them as Rourke and Peabody work their way back to her. Why the credit chips? She asked out loud. Because he died for money, not to make it look like a robbery. Another simple. Blood money? Why 30 chips? 30 pieces of silver, Rourke said, watching Eve's blank stare. Your state education, Lieutenant, wouldn't have included Bible study. Judas paid 30 pieces of silver for betraying Christ. 30 pieces of silver. It clicked with her and she nodded. And she discusses the case again. Alright. Then we have the introduction of Officer Carmichael, which is really small. We can skip that. We have a little discussion with Baxter. Peabody. She tells Peabody she assigns Peabody an assignment. And Peabody gets upset. You're going in the field alone? I need you here coordinating the witness assignments. Yeah, but Peabody, until last year, I did most of my field work solo. As she shoved back her desk to sit, she caught the gleam of hurt in Peabody's eyes. Nearly rolled her own. That doesn't mean you haven't aced the job, Peabody. Get a hold of yourself. I need you right here now running and scanning data. You're better at this tech stuff than I am. That appeared to brighten Peabody again. Yeah, I am, but I could hook up with you when I'm clear here. I'll let you know. Why don't you get started while everyone's in the mood to put in an extra time? So, Eve, I'm not going to read it. We're just going to skip it because there's a lot there and it has some stuff to do with the case. But Eve is going to go across state lines, which is she violates some procedures and stuff like that, and everybody comes down on her. But she's got it all documented, so she's good. But she's going to see Max Ricker. Max Ricker, like I said earlier, is going to play a significant role in these books. It'll be revealed much later, several books down the way. That's why I'm saying this is a continuing storyline that will be poked at for several books. Max Ricker may go to prison, but it's going to have a lasting effect for several books. We're going to talk about him. But anyways, He is a thorn in Roarke's side. Roarke used to work for him until Roarke decided to go out on his own, and he became more powerful than Ricker, and he became a legitimate businessman. And Ricker just hates Roarke for being legitimate. And he wants to make Roarke a crooked person again by making him deal drugs or something like that. But that's a whole little sideline here. But what will be revealed, spoiler alert here, character spoiler alert, further down the line in other books, Eve's biological father also knew Ricker and knew Roarke's father. So there's a whole section there that has to be dealt with down the road. So she deals with Ricker, and Roarke is she has to go to Central. They try to kill her after she leaves Ricker's house. And anyways, while she is with Ricker and all this stuff is going down, we've got Mcnabb checking up on Peabody. Hey, She-Buddy, what's up? What are you doing out of EDD? She kept right on working, didn't even glance up. You break your chin again? They don't lock us up in EDD like they do over here. How do you work in this cage? Efficiently. Go away, Mcnabb. I'm really swamped here. The Coley deal, it's all anybody can talk about. Poor son of a bee. Because there was pity in his voice, she did glance up and noted that his eyes, cool and green, weren't just sad, they were pissed. Yeah, well, we'll get the slime who killed him. Dallas is working the angles. Nobody does it better. Some of the guys here asked us to run names. Everybody in ED from Feeney down to the lowest drones on him. Why aren't you? I was elected to swing over and see if I could wangle on an update. Come on, Peabody, we're in it too. Give us something to take back. And she tells him that Eve called and wants her to do XYZ, and it's all top secret. Hold on a second. So, Peabody fills Mcnabb in on what's going on. She goes, I don't know much, but Eve, blah, blah, blah. So, she tells him a little bit of it. Then, Eve, I think her commander comes down when she finally returns to Central. Let's see. Specific, Lieutenant. Then he looked around. Where the hell do you sit in this hole? Saying nothing, she pulled out her creaky desk chair. He stared at it a moment, then in a gesture that popped the tension out of the room like a pin in a balloon, he threw back his head and roared. You think I don't know that's an insult? I put half my ass on that excuse for chair, and I'm through it and on the floor. For Christ, Alex, you got rank. You can get an office instead of this cave. She likes it here. And we have had the fight over, not a fight, but discussion on Facebook for years, for decades. Remember, this book is 25 years old. Eve has a horrible, horrible, horrible visitor's chair. And she has a horrible, horrible, horrible visitor's chair because she doesn't want anybody to sit there for too long. However, I feel personally that she should get a better chair for when her bosses come to visit her out of courtesy. What she ends up doing is sacrificing her personal chair for them. And then she'll sit on the edge of the desk or something like that, or even the floor. But I really think she needs one. But I'm telling you right now, spoiler alert, 64 books later, she still has the same rotten chair. And, it's like 5 years character time. How's it going there, chickie? How's it going there, my pussy girl? My little Smokey. That's my Smokey. Alright, so, I was talking to Whitney. I like it here. You get something bigger, you end up putting more chairs in, maybe a table. Then people start dropping by to chat. Whitney hissed through his teeth. Tell me. Let me have some of that coffee Rourke scores you. She moved to the auto chef program for 2 cups, hot, strong, and black. Commander, I'd like to speak off the record for a moment. Give me that coffee, and you can speak any way you damn well want for the next hour. Jesus Christ, what a scent. She smiled to herself, remembering the first time she'd tasted Rourke's coffee. The real thing, not soy or any of that man-made bean crap. She could have known then and there he'd be for it. And because he was it for her, she turned with the coffee and put her faith in her commander. Rourke was connected to Ricker in some areas of business. Rourke ended the association more than 10 years ago. Ricker hasn't forgotten it or forgiven it. He'd like to sting Rourke if he could, through me, if it works that way. During the meet, I used Rourke to poke at him. It worked. He lost his cool a couple of times. I kept pressing the sore spot. He kept losing it. How bad does he want Rourke? Bad enough, I think, but he's scared of him. That scrapes at him more than anything else, that the underlying fear. Because, well, he doesn't see it as fear, but as intense loathing. And they have the discussion. She explains about the car thing, them trying to kill her and stuff like that. Then she gets home. Let me see if I can get to it. She gets home and there are flowers there for her. In another, when she stepped into the bedroom, she saw the flowers first. It was difficult to miss them, as there were a 4-foot spread of them dead center of the room, and the scent was sweet enough to hurt her teeth. It took another moment to realize the flowers had long, skinny legs and black trousers. Somerset, the shower could wait. For me, gee, you didn't have. If you don't try harder to control your passion for me, Rourke's going to fire your bony ass and make my life complete. Your humor, the flower said in a dry, faintly Slavic voice, eludes me as usual. This obnoxious and overstated arrangement just arrived by private messenger. Watch the cat, she began as Somerset stepped forward and Galahad strolled in his path. And later on, that is going to be a big issue. Galahad strolling in his path. To her surprise and reluctant admiration, Somerset neatly sidestepped, avoided Galahad's tail by well a cat hair, and neatly set the enormous bouquet on the wide table in the sitting area. Galahad leaped up, sniffed at it, then petted over to butt his head on Somerset's leg. The flowers are for you, Somerset said, and since she was looking, ignored the cat. As of now, they become your problem. Who sent them? They're not Rourke style. Certainly not. Perhaps one of your felonious acquaintances considers it a suitable bribe. Yeah, right. And she reads the card, and it says, I never had the chance to kiss the bride, M. Ricker. And she tells Somerset to destroy the flowers and put them in the garbage disposal. And so then Rourke comes home and she's got marks. She's bruised. And he's getting a little bit on the angry side. He wants to know what's going on, and she's avoiding him. She's not answering. She's not coming forward with the information, and Rourke is getting angrier and angrier. Where are the flowers? Oh, shit. What flowers? The flowers, Eve. They were delivered just a while ago. I don't know what you're talking about. I just got... And he's like, Eve... And he grabs her. Flowers come here all the time. What am I supposed to know about? Now let me go. I'm hungry. I'll tolerate, and by God, to tolerate a great deal from you, Eve, but you won't stand here and lie to my face. You have bruises on you put there since I last saw you, and by someone's hand. Somerset is downstairs feeding a bunch of flowers into the recycler on your orders. I assume since he brought them up here first. Goddamn, I can still smell them. What are you afraid of? I'm not afraid of anything. Then who put the fear behind your eyes? You. She knew it was wrong, knew it was cruel, and hated herself for it when his eyes went blank. When he stepped just a little too carefully back from her. I beg your pardon. Rourke! Damn it, Rourke! I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry. I have to work. Don't freeze me out. I can't take it when you do that. She dragged her hands through her hair, pressed the heels of them hard on her head, where it began to throb. I don't know how to do this. Any way I do, it's going to piss you off. Disgusted, she stalked back to the sitting area, flopped on the couch, scowled at nothing in particular. Why don't you try the truth? Yeah, all right, but you're going to have to make me a promise first, which would be, oh, get that stick out of your ass and sit down, would you? The stick in my ass is surprisingly comfortable just now. He's been studying her face, calculating, speculating, and he knew. You went to see Ricker. And she's like, what are you, psychic? He put hands on you. Rock, look at me. She laid her hands on his face. Look in his eyes was murder. She knew he could accomplish it hot or cold. I baited him. I've got my reasons, and right now I've got him shaken. The flowers were just a dig at you. He wants you to come after him. He wants it. And why shouldn't I oblige him? Because I'm asking you not to, because taking him down is my job, and I'll play it right. I'm going to do that. There are times you ask a great deal. I know you could go after him. I know you'd find a way to get it done. But it's not the right way. It's not who you are anymore. Isn't it? But the rage, the first blinding rush of it was leveling off. No, it's not. I stood with him today, and now I'm standing with you. You're nothing like him. Nothing. I could have been. But you're not. The crisis has passed. She felt it. Let's go in and sit down. I'll tell you all about it. Don't lie to me again. Okay, okay, I promise. Um, I lost my train of thought. But there is further down the line, there is another situation that comes up that is gonna take a few days of disagreement between Eve and Rook, and it's gonna really hurt Eve, but they'll work through it. But it's gonna be a potential issue. Rook wants A, and he has every right to want A. A is illegal, massively illegal, and Eve would arrest him. But they got to talk about it. And in the last book, no, in Conspiracy and Death, Rourke and Feeney have a talk because Feeney had words with Eve. In the future book, it's going to be Feeney that's talking to Rourke about the words that Rourke had with Eve. It's weird like that, but it's going to be referenced. Feeney's going to bring up the fact that Rourke fixed him a while back in Conspiracy and Death. Now, it'll be Feeney's turn in a future book. It's a couple books down the line. So, let's get through all that. Yeah, that was just... Oh, there's another crime scene. Another cop gets killed. So we'll just skip that. And um that they're at the crime scene, and Peabody's like, we were together and he just followed. I'm just gonna skip. This is still the crime scene. All right, let's see what this is. So Don Webster gets in Eve's face again. So they have another discussion, and it's gonna become serious. Webster gets hurt. Serious hurts. Um, we haven't seen Louise yet. She got hurt in not Holland. No, she got hurt in Conspiracy. No, the other one, the one with the organs. But we'll see her again. Um, uh, uh oh, Peabody's talking to Eve, and they were going through the traffic this um and Peabody is so in awe of the house that this is the first time she slept over. Mcnabb slept over too. um Peabody knows that there's something going on with her and Roarke. I mean, they've settled their liquor dispute, but there's still an underlying situation going there. So Peabody's a little uh talking to herself what's going on. Then we run into our favorite reporter, Nadine. Um, let's see. She makes an appointment with uh my office, 10:30 sharp. She would finish with Feeney, zip down to Lewis's hearing, and back to Central. You get what I got to give before any scheduled press conference in a one-on-one. And for this, I have to kill who? We won't make it quite that far. I want a story planted, leaked, let's say, from an unnamed police source. You scare easy, Nadine? Hey, I dated a dentist. Nothing scares me. Well, you're going to want to cover your pretty ass this anyway. This leak's going to involve Max Ricker. Jesus, Dallas, let's get married. What have you got on him? Is it confirmed? What's that I smell? Hey, I think it's an Emmy. No, 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 no. It's a Pulitzer. Uh, Nadine will eventually, way down the line, uh, book 40 or 50 something. No, it's got to be 40 something because it happens again in 50 or 50 something. Um, not Eve. Nadine will get an Oscar. But we have a long way to go before we get that far. So then we have talks with Somerset. So he's talking about Rourke opened it himself, briefcase in hand. Lieutenant, I was just heading out. Yeah, well, me too. My team's going to set up here today. It would be helpful if they had another computer unit or two. Somerset will get them whatever they need. Yeah, good. Well, was there something else? It's really distracting trying to work and knowing you're still tweaked at me. I imagine so. What would you like me to do about it? It was said so pleasantly she wanted to kick him. I said I was sorry, damn it. So you did. How rude of me to still be, what was it, tweaked? You're better at this than I am, she said grimly. We're not on even ground. Life has very little even ground. But he couldn't hold out against her misery and stop halfway down the stairs. I love you, Eve. Nothing changes that. Nothing could. But Christ, you pissed me off. The wash of relief at hearing him say he loved her warred with irritation that she could be slapped again for doing what she thought best. Look, I just don't want you involved in. Ah! He tapped a finger on her lips to silence her. There it is. There's quite a world of trouble with that single statement, as I doubt you have time, and I know I don't, to explore that world right at the moment. Why don't you, between your quest for justice, give it some thought? Don't talk to me like I'm a moron. He kissed her, which was something, but did so lightly before continuing down the steps. Go to work, Eve. We'll talk about this later. How come he's in charge? She muttered. She heard him say something to Somerset, something quick and careless before the door closed. She started down, replaying the scene in her head with all the sharp, pithy, and clever things she could have said if she had a few moments to think about him. Lieutenant. Somerset stood at the base of the stairs, holding out her jacket. It was something he never did. I'll see to it that your associates have the equipment they require. Yeah, great, fine. Lieutenant. What? Regarding your actions of last evening. Don't you start on me, hatchet face, she shoved by him. I believe he continued in the same mild tone. Those actions were quite correct. What? What did you say? I believe your hearing is unimpaired, and I dislike repeating myself. And he left the room. Then she gives the interview to Nadine, and we stir up trouble there. And then we have some Mavis time. I need a beverage. Hold on a second. Oh, sorry. This video is going to take 2 days to upload. Absolute serious. I'm not kidding. The other Eve Dallas video took 10, 4, 5, about 11 hours to upload. So, she decided to head home, and on the way, she passed Mavis's billboard. Before she could think about it, she engaged her link and tried Mavis at home, without any real hope of catching her there. Hey, Dallas, guess what I'm looking at? A naked one-armed pygmy? Damn, okay, you're too good at this. I'll talk to you later. Wait. Giggling, Mavis shifted in front of her link as if that would somehow give her the angle of Eve's view. What is it really? You, about 1,000,000 times bigger than life over Times Square. Oh, is that iced or what? Is that beyond Arctic? I keep finding excuses to go down and look at it. I want to give your husband a big, wet, floppy kiss. Leonardo says it's all right with him under the circumstances, but I thought I should clear it with you. I don't tell Roarke who he could kiss. Mavis's eyebrows, currently a neon magenta, rose straight up to her blueberry-colored hair. Uh-oh. Are you having a fight? No, yes, no. I don't know what the hell we're having. He's barely speaking to me. And you? Are you? Never mind. Am I what? Sorry, Leonardo's trying out a new stage costume. Hey, why don't you come by? No, you're busy. Come on, Dallas. You never come by for the old place. You're in Times Square. You can be here in a heartbeat. I was just thinking I was going to make a big batch of screamers. So I'll see you in a few. She doesn't tell Roarke where she's going. She doesn't tell Somerset where she's going. And Roarke wonders where she is and what she's doing, if she's going to see Ricker or what's going on. So she goes over to Mavis's door, and Mavis knows there's something wrong between her and Roarke. She knows. And so her and Mavis get massively sick, and they have lots of booze and lots of ice cream. And they discuss men in general Halfway through batch 2, Eve lay on the floor staring up at the beads raining from the silver ceiling. If men are pigs, why do so many of us have one? Because women work on emotional level. Mavis hiccuped delicately. Even you. Eve rolled over, eyed Mavis narrowly. Do not. Do too. First he got you by the sexual hormones. I mean, Jesus, look at him. The man's sexual. Give me a minute. A sexual banquet. Yeah, that's a good one. Then he clicked into your head because he's smart and interesting and mysterious and all that stuff you already go for. But then whammer when he jammed right into your heart. What you gonna do? A guy's got his hooks in your heart. He just reels you in. I'm not a fish. We're all fish, Mavis said in a rounded tone, in the great sea of life. And they chuckle and giggle all about that stuff. And Mavis' solution to the situation is to have sex with Roarke. And then they have the ice cream and they get massively sick over the ice cream. And so her car has auto drive on it, which in 2000 was unthinkable, but nowadays it's thinkable. And she goes home. Um, she runs into Webster on her way home, and they have words. And he wants her to stay off Max Ricker, and Eve won't. And there's a big discussion. And Webster comes in the house, and Roarke comes home, and for God's sakes, Dallas, nobody meant for this to happen, but you jumped right on it when it did. He wasn't even cold. It's not my choice. Engaged, he took her other arm, shook her. I'm not supposed to be right here right now. I'm not supposed to have told you any of this. Then why did you? The Bureau will find a way to kick you off the case, or if it suits better, to put you right in Ricker's path. Either way, you're going to walk around with a target on your back. You matter to me. He jerked her against him, and she was too shocked to block the move. Hey! You matter, you always have. She slapped both his hands on his chest, then felt the rapid pump of his heart. The heat. Jesus, Webster, are you crazy? I'd prefer that you take your hands off my wife before I break them, Roarke said from the doorway. But either way works for me. The voice was rigidly pleasant and didn't fool Eve for an instant. She knew the sound of savagery when she heard it. However elegantly it was cloaked, just as she recognized it in the frigid blue of Rourke's eyes. Roarke, Webster, and I are in the middle of a meeting and a professional disagreement. I don't think so. Go find something else to do, Eve, elsewhere. Insult worked hard to kick fear aside, but didn't manage the job. She felt her muscles begin to tremble and had an image of capping off the evening by arresting her husband for murder. Get a grip. She did her best to plant her boots. You've mistaken the situation here. No, he hasn't. Not on my end. Webster moved away from Eve, and I don't hide behind women. You want to do this here? With a nod towards Roarke outside. Roarke smiled, much Eve thought like a wolf before a kill, here and now. And they have their fight and they roll around the room and they break furniture and stuff like that happens. And Eve breaks it up. She stuns them. She uses the stun gun. And Roarke is just massively pissed off at her for doing it. So their fight continues. Um, let's see. And they end up going to bed. All right. Then, uh, he's back at the office the next day. He wasn't the least bit interested in purgatory, even the time he assumed he'd spend there for his sins. Nor was Rourke overly surprised to find Don Webster waiting for him in the reception area of his midtown offices. Rourke's admin, an exceptional woman of great efficiency and insight, moved into the reception, cutting neatly between the two men. Your schedule is quite full this morning. This gentleman would like to see you and is reluctant to make an appointment for later in the week. I'll make time for him now. Thank you, Caro. Webster? He gestured toward the corridor that led to his office and wasn't displeased to note Webster sported a violent bruise running under his right eye to his cheekbone and a split lip that had yet to be treated. His own ribs were aching like a bitch, something he'd refused to see to as a matter of pride. He stepped into his office, moved directly to the desk, but didn't sit. With his hands lightly in his pockets, his body balanced on the balls of his feet, he measured his adversary. You want another round, mate? More than I want to see the sunrise, Webster replied, then shook his head when the light came into Rourke's eyes. But I'm going to have to pass. I hate saying this, but you have every right to pound the shit out of me last night. And there, we're in perfect accord, and if I find your hands on what's mine again, you'll lose them. That's a promise. She'd have taken care of that if you had been 5 minutes later. Shit, 5 seconds later. I want you to know that. Eve's fidelity was never in question. Okay. Webster felt part of the weight that had hung on him through the night lift. I don't want you to get the idea that we have a professional problem, which I use to move on personal one. A problem I have. I think I'm in love with your wife. For now. But it's gonna take a small spoiler alert. Another 50 books before Webster meets his match. Literally 50 books. We have to go through 50 books for Webster to meet his match. So then they talk about the case and they make up a little. And then Eve goes to see Mira about the case. And after they finish discussing the case, Eve has childhood nightmares. Now I've explained in the other books that Eve had a difficult childhood, and it will become more prevalent as the books go on. But Eve's father, her biological father, physically and mentally tortured the child. And then she went into foster homes, and she went into really bad foster homes. And she was, again, psychologically mistreated in those foster homes. And that'll come to light in a future book, too. So Mira is helping Eve. And Mira explains to Eve at a certain point that because Eve is now comfortable with Roarke and she feels safe with Roarke, her subconscious is slowly revealing her childhood to her. And Mira's been helping her with that, but she will become really, this particular storyline will sort of kind of come to a climax in New York to Dallas. It's the only book that's not labeled in death. Actually, well, yeah, because remember when are a different situation. But the New York to Dallas is the climax of the whole childhood situation. But we still got quite a few books to go yet before then. So Mira knows that something's wrong with Eve. She's asking about the nightmares, and she says, no, this has nothing to do with my father, with my past, with any of that. It's my business. You need to understand something. I care very much about you. Dr. Mira, and the command in that warm, pleasant voice broke no argument. I care on a very personal level how much it may discomfort you, Eve. I look on you as a kind of surrogate daughter. It's a pity that causes you embarrassment, she said mildly when the emotion ran over Eve's face. You don't know my children, but I can promise you that they would tell you I am relentless when concerned about their happiness. While I try not to interfere, I will know the cause. Eve was dumbfounded, and she chased by so many emotions they ran themselves on their way to clog her throat. She had no mother, no memory of one, and no defense against the offer from the woman who watched her and seemed determined to stand as one. I can't talk about it. Of course you can. If it's not your past, it's your present. If it's personal, it's Roarke. And Mavis and Mira lays. So she finally, eventually tells Mira what's going on. Oh, this video is gonna take forever. I hope people watch it. I hope you're watching right now and enjoying the story. Let's see. You got something. Yeah, I got a nibble here. How many cops have numbered bank accounts in another city? Now that she did glance up, giving Peabody a speculative look. Not me. By the time I pay the first of the month's factor in transport costs and food allowance, I'm lucky to have enough left over for new underwear, which I'm in desperate need of at the moment. Having a sex life is great and a nice change, but you have to have decent drawers. Detectives make more than uniforms, Eve speculated, but unless the pay scale's gone up since my day, this guy shouldn't be able to tuck away 300 grand and change. But it's not enough. Dead relatives, she murmured. Mills used dead relatives. Where the hell's Mcnabb? He's still stuffing his face. You also have strawberry shortcake. Don't make me go get him. I'm weak. It'll look really mag. Eve turned to her link. She never used the house intercom, but now seemed like a good time to start. She flipped it to full open. Mcnabb, get your bony ass up here now. It's not bony so much as tight, Peabody offered and earned a killing look from Eve. I told you about that. Just saying. No talking about Mcnabb and sex in Eve's presence. She wants to be like this. Hey, what's this one? I don't know. Oh, Eve goes to see Roarke. The receptionist beamed at her because she was a clever and experienced woman. That welcoming smile stayed in place even when she caught the combative expression on Eve's face. Lieutenant Dallas, how nice to see you again. I'm afraid Rourke's in a meeting at the moment and can't be disturbed. Is there anything I can do? Is he back there? Yes, but oh, Lieutenant. She scrambled up from her post as Eve marched past her. Please, you really can't. Watch me. It's an extremely important meeting. The receptionist risked her very attractive face by throwing herself in Eve's path. If you could just wait possibly 10 minutes, they should be breaking for the lunch portion very shortly. Perhaps I can get you some coffee, a pastry? Eve gave her a considering look. What's your name? I'm Lorene, Lieutenant. Well, Lorene, I don't want coffee or a pastry, but thanks. I'll be sure to tell Rourke you tried. Now move. But I tried really hard. Eve added, then simply shouldered Lorraine aside and yanked open the door. Rourke was in front of his desk, leaning back against it, looking cool, casual, and completely in control, with the staggering view of the city behind him. He was listening with polite interest to something one of the 6 people, all sober-suited said to him, but his gaze shifted to the door as it burst open, and Eve had the pleasure of seeing surprise flash into his eyes. He recovered instantly. Ladies, gentlemen, with lazy grace, he straightened. My wife, Lieutenant Dallas. Eve, the representatives, attorneys, and financial advisors of Green Space Agricultural Port. And you know Carol, my admin. Yeah, hi, how it's going? We have to talk. Excuse me a moment. He walked to the door, took her arm firmly, and pulled her through. I'm sorry, Lorraine said. I couldn't stop her. Don't worry about it, Lorraine. No one can. It's all right. Go back to your desk. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. This isn't a convenient time, Eve. Then you'll have to settle for an inconvenient time because I have to say things and I'm saying them now. Want me to say them in front of your representatives, attorneys, and financial backers of Green Space Agricultural Report and your trusty admin, Carol? He didn't care for her mood or the position she put him in, and his hand stayed a not particularly subtle warning on her arm. We'll talk at home. We haven't been doing a lot of that lately. I say we talk now. She lifted her chin, a not particularly subtle challenge. And if you think you can call security and have them change my mind, I'll haul you down on some trumped up charge. In fact, I'd like the idea of that. I'm making time. She said quietly, You make it. He studied her face. He'd seen only temper. He had met it with his own or dismissed it. But he saw something. Give me 10 minutes. Carol, when his hand ran down Eve's arm like a caress, she felt the clutch in the gut that came with relief. Would you show my wife to conference room C, please? Of course, Lieutenant. This way. Shall I get you some coffee? I got an offer of pastry with that before when I scared Lorraine. So she goes through all that. And Carol tells her about the Greenpeace deal that he's doing, and so then Roarke comes back in, and she apologizes for the she's trying to apologize for some of the stuff. We'll get to that, but since I'm pressed for my time myself, let's start at the beginning and move along. Going to see Ricker was my job. I'm not apologizing for that. He inclined his head. That's one each. Okay, I don't know if I'd have told you about it or not. Probably not, if I thought I could skate by it. And I didn't intend to tell you about sending him the hammers after me because I dealt with it. I have to dispute over your job, Lieutenant, but the fact is Ricker and I were connected, and you knew that going in. We discussed it. That's right. That's exactly right. And we discussed the fact that I would set up a meet. You didn't indicate you'd move on that intention immediately without preparation. I don't have to indicate anything when it comes to my job. I just have to do my job, and I was prepared. I knew another 5 minutes with him that his fondest wish was to get to you. Using me to do so wasn't going to be an option. I tossed it in his lap. And they talk about it and they make up and they make plans. So you'll have to read for the individual details. Um she tells him she talked to Mavis and all the situation there. And so they sort of kind of make up there for the details. They don't really make up till the end of the book. But they do make up later on. She talks to Webster again, and this is gonna. I mean, promises and death. I think we're just gonna sit there and read the whole book. There's so much in promises to talk about when we get there. So Baxter sees her in the garage. Her car's been beat up, and Baxter's like, whoa, I heard you had a little trouble earlier, but didn't know you wrecked your vehicle. Maintenance isn't going to be happy with you. I didn't wreck it. How the hell did somebody walk here and beat the crap out of my ride? She took another step toward it, and Baxter grabbed her arm. Let's just keep some distance. Call the bomb squad. You've got a very temperamental enemy at the moment. Could be rigged. Yeah, right. So Baxter calls down to requisition and gets her new tires, and she talks the case over with Baxter a little bit. So then she talks with Roarke again. Let me see what else. And she talks over with Roarke, and they sort of kind of make up more. And let's see what goes on here. Oh, they go up in one of Rourke's oh, Jesus. It takes another 30 books before Promises. He's testing a prototype car. Just checking. I'd say this baby's ready for production. What do you mean ready? This is just the prototype. She felt the color drain out of her face. Actually felt it. As an experimental, with his dark hair whipping in the air, blowing through his open window, he tossed her a wide, delighted grin. Not anymore. We're going down. Down? What? On purpose, darling. It's a helicopter. So there's that. Oh, then she meets with Dickhead. He's finally talked to him in the lab. And, he's talking with a client, and Eve's impressed about how he's negotiating with the Japanese baseball team people. And let's see, what's this one? Hey, Peabody, Mcnabb asked. Just a change of plans. I'm going to sit in on the security briefing. Dallas isn't going for Clooney, Feeney asked. Yeah, she's gone. As if it was vitally important, she selected a chair, brushed off the seat, settled into it. Alone, Rourke said. No, she's got, she has, and Peabody breaks it to her that, uh, Eve went with Rourke. And the problem there is that, no, Peabody tells Rourke that Eve went with Webster. And there's a situation that goes down, and Webster gets seriously, massively hurt. And, what's that? I didn't look this up. Eve Webster, you'll have to, when you read the book, you'll have to find the page for me. But, she whispers a threat into Baxter's coma-like situation. And, he lives. Oh, this is after Baxter's a little bit better. Uh, yeah, but wait, I gotta ask you a question. Did you come in before? Before what? Come on, Dallas, before now. Did you come in and talk to me? Maybe I dropped in to see what an idiot looked like. Why? Because I had this dream. Maybe a dream. You were standing over me. I was just floating, and you were standing there, ragging my ass. Ever tell you how sexy you looked when you're ragging ass? Jesus. Sorry. A little residual lust. Did you say you'd spit on my grave? Yeah, I will too if you try to crash out again. So you'll have to read that whole situation when it first arrives in the book. We've really got along this time, and this video is going to take 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe a couple days to upload. See what my upload speed is today. But Judgment and Death, and I don't even know what's let's see. You know, it never goes right. Oh, 15. I'm looking for 12. You know, it's here. 17, 17, 16, 15, 13. All right. 7. It's supposed to be 12. You know. Here we go. Betrayal and Death next week. 12. And then we've got Interlude is 12 and a half. So, have a good one.